Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views on myself, Salailo Mkhwanazi. We've come to the back end of the show, but we're going to be wrapping it up with a very, very important subject matter. This week marks a very, very critical moment for South Africa's criminal justice system, as the Mkhwanazi Commission of Inquiry will be kicking off in Pretoria. I think we all remember the circumstances that led to President Cyril Ramaphosa establishing this commission, and it will investigate, the corruption, the political interference, and just the general maladministration within the South African police services. This is following that bombshell, or those bombshell allegations that were made by KwaZulu Natal Police Commissioner Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi's revelations, which include claims of political meddling and interference from high-level actors, have rocked Parliament and put the spotlight on the integrity of law enforcement in the country. And joining us now to unpack the implications of this inquiry and if it will be a successful inquiry, because we've had a few inquiries before, and I don't think a lot of them yielded the kind of results that we had hoped that they would. We'll be speaking to renowned political analyst, good friend of the show. He's also an international relations expert, Dr. Gideon Chitanga. Doc, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure. Really looking forward to this conversation with you.
Thank you. Welcome and good morning to our viewers and listeners.
Let's just jump right into it. The commission, the Mkhwanazi Commission inquiry, could possibly be kicking off sometime this week. From your own perspective, looking from that moment where KwaZulu Natal Police Commissioner Mkhwanazi made those bombshell, harrowing allegations, to ultimately how the president responded to them and the establishment of this commission, how would you assess and analyze where we currently find ourselves?
So the first thing is that the revelation by Commissioner Mkhwanazi, I think they rocked South Africa in such a shocking way. It was more a reflection of the things that are happening in the country behind the scenes. People don't see them, but the country happens to find itself the national justice system happens to find itself in such a very grave and complex scenario that threatens national security. So the response, both the revelations and the response of the president, I think affirm that it's the justice system as well as the security institutions are at a crossroads. The response, which we are now discussing, the setting of the Mkhwanazi Commission, it just reflects I would call it a traditional crisis approach by the ANC government. This idea of setting up commissions, and indeed there is room for that. It's an important step, a broader, if you want to call it a broader holistic approach that should generate awareness, information, broader understanding of the extent of the problem, who is directly implicated and who is not, and how the country can approach this in a very sober way without compromising further an already delicate security situation. However, having said that, I think that we are aware already of the extent of the terms of reference of the commission and how broad they are, an indication that the president expects this commission to go very far in terms of its findings. But as always, the common complaint again is what happens after the commission's findings. The Zondo Commission, for example, it was quite expensive and costly exercise, time consuming. I think a lot of information came out of that commission. But what you get is that there is either isn't much that is done with the findings, or the public who are really concerned about these things do not get to be exactly informed of the steps that are then taken after these commissions are created, and a lot of resources are given to them. So I think the major problem really is that commissions have become like a softer way of running away from directly confronting national sensitive problems and holding people accountable. And also national leaders, they either are reluctant to address serious problems head on, or they are scared of political repercussions, and then they stick to commissions as an administrative and political approach to at least look like they are addressing these serious problems. I think that South Africans want to know exactly who are the main culprits in compromising the national justice system, which actors are really involved in corruption and crime and political killings and the hiding of criminals. And this conflation of crime and law and order, which is really amplifying the problems. I think that they want accountability. They want people to either be held responsible or to come out responsible themselves. But this is, I think, where the challenge is, because we're not so sure what will happen with the findings of the commission.
I want to touch briefly on President Cyril Ramaphosa, and I think you also just slightly touched on his response. There was a lot of criticism on how he responded immediately after those allegations were made by General Mkhwanazi. He was out of the country. I think he was at the BRICS summit in Brazil. It didn't feel like there was a lot of urgency because these were, damning allegations. The whole South African police services is said to be captured. It's said to be controlled by external actors. Ministers are, in the spotlight for being enablers of some of the most rampant corruption that we've ever seen since the dawn of democracy. The president and how he responded to this, how would you assess that? Was this a moment of failure from his part, where he could have shown a lot of strength, could have shown a lot of leadership that sometimes is criticized of not showing?
Well, I think that there is something about President Ramaphosa's approach to issues that gives an impression that he does not panic. And so it's not necessarily that the matters are not urgent and they are not treated with urgency. It's just that as a person, he has this personal posture that is calm, quite diplomatic. And I think in this case, demonstrating that South Africa is a constitutional democracy, and rule of law is supreme. So we are not going to quickly wield the sword and punish people before we know exactly the details. So we need to create a constitutional setup where at least some kind of information could be provided, and maybe the judges are able to then draw the list of people who are involved in the nature and character and their crimes and so on. So he is someone who is so very much process inclined. But I agree with those who feel that this was an opportunity to really exercise very effective, if you like, incisive political decision making, to demonstrate to the country, to the voters, also to these people who are either implicated or alleged or their names are name dropped. This was an opportunity to show that, to demonstrate that he's keen to clean up government, and people should fall from government and the ANC as a party or as a majority party in the inclusive government if they are associated or implicated, and worse if they are directly involved in criminal activities. This, I think, was a missed opportunity to demonstrate strong agent political leadership. And of course, there is an argument that the president was abroad, the nation needed to be calmed given the gravity of the issues that had come out. But I still think that even the idea of sending Minister Mchunu on leave, surely I feel like he needed to really strongly act on the names that were brought about and quickly create a cleaner slate of leaders to, in the interim, take leadership within the implicated structures while the commission is doing its work. But we find ourselves, I think, in the same place after the revelations. The only difference is we'll have a long process from the commission, and we will have to see what happens after the findings of the commission are submitted.
No, most definitely. Gideon, I think we're going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Always a pleasure getting your insights. And I think we're all waiting for Wednesday with bated breath to see some of the first scenes of the commission and ultimately what will come out of it.
Thank you so much.
There you go. That was Dr. Gideon Chitanga there giving us insight on that commission that's going to be coming up. The commission, Mkhwanazi Commission, probing Mkhwanazi's claims. And yeah, we'll try to give you the latest on that regard. Very, very important one. A lot of criticism on the establishment of commissions. A lot of criticism to President Cyril Ramaphosa and how he handled this issue. But one will see. Will it be another commission where millions and millions are wasted and ultimately there are no consequences to those that have been fingered in wrongdoing and using the South African police services as, you know, their personal private security, manipulating it, using it to kill people, to steal money? Yeah, we're all praying for the right answers. And with that, we've come to the end of today's show. Thank you so much for staying with us for the past 2 hours and 22 minutes. I'll be back with you again tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of the show. Otherwise, from myself and the rest of the team, sharp, sharp.